All right, well, it looks like we're recording. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside. Let me get comfortable here. Welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 31st day of July, 2018. We're out in the she cave today. A little more room than on that little tiny area on my porch. It's pretty overcast today. We've got, I don't really smell it, but there's a lot of smoke particulate in the air. We've got fires in Oregon and Northern California. The one in Northern California is pretty bad. It's already, I think my husband said yesterday he heard it's already killed 4 firefighters and a great-grandmother and her 2 grandchildren. That was just horrible. Her husband was interviewed. It was just so sad. Last year, this happened. I think California, Washington, and Oregon. Even when Oregon wasn't burning, Washington and California was. And so last summer, we couldn't even be outside. And the smoke was so bad that it just wasn't healthy. I have a neighbor who is dealing with cancer, and he couldn't, they were building a house, and he couldn't come. He was living in one of those travel trailers while that was happening, and he had to stay inside that because he couldn't breathe. Sometimes he would take off and go to the coast and try to get some clear air there, but I don't know. It was bad last summer, and so far, here we are, we're about to start August, and we really, we've had a little bit, but not anything like we typically do. So August, though, is a time of ground-striking lightning here in Central Oregon, so it isn't uncommon, for those to start fires everywhere. So we'll see how the next month goes, but so far we've been really pretty lucky. And yesterday, I think, was our first triple-digit day. I guess it got up to 102. I didn't witness it because I was in the house. I should make sure that my volume is up there. I always forget to do that. When we used to teach karate, we used to teach Kempo, and my husband was, of course, the head instructor, and he would always call that taking a picture of something. When a student would continually do the wrong thing, he's like, you're taking a picture of it. Someone else had said that, another instructor had said that, and he liked the picture it dropped, basically. People could see it in a way that was better and more applicable to what they were doing. It's like, oh, okay, I'm really focusing on this, and it's there, that snapshot's in my mind. So I have a picture in my mind of never turning the volume up. So, from our martial arts days. Well, the kale chips turned out really well that I did. They are very light and fluffy, so I was very careful and put them in some Ziploc bags so that they're not getting crushed, and I have them up on the refrigerator so my husband doesn't grab them and crush them to death, because he won't pay attention, he'll just do it. He'll be cleaning up or something, and he'll just be in a hurry, and sometimes guys aren't delicate, Anyway, I think we've shuffled enough. Feels like it's time to draw the cards, so let's draw 13 and count 13 and see what we have for today. 13's my number. I was born on the 13th. It figures prominently in my life, so whenever I do a single card reading, or sometimes if I'm wanting to have an outcome and I really want it to not be in, I'll do a 13, and sometimes I'll do it from the bottom of the deck if I really want to, it's just a thing. You don't have to do it that way. Oh my goodness, we've seen this one before. Let's get the glasses on, though, so we can actually see it. So here we have the Two of Wands, where again we have the guy waiting for his ship to come in, basically. Without another card, though, we're not really sure. He holds his world in his hand, though, but we're not really sure what's going on with him, you know, without another card. We're not sure if this is in response to something, that maybe he's just had enough and he's walked away and he's now looking for something new to happen. The thing about wands, though, is wands is a fire element suit, and so we're talking will. And so someone who's just sitting around waiting for their ship to come in, that's not happening. So clearly he's done something that he's now waiting for the results of. So perhaps we have, maybe we've made a 2 is about polarity, about decision making. So maybe we're waiting on the outcome of a decision that we've made, perhaps, for today. But basically, he's holding a globe, and it's definitely, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a globe of the world, of the earth. He's clearly someone of means, so maybe he's just waiting for a new project to take hold, or perhaps he's just waiting for something new to happen, or for a new opportunity that he can then take advantage of and work to his advantage, I guess. But wands is an active element, so you're talking about maybe even standing in your own power. Whenever you see something in between two, it's a doorway. Like we even have one here, you know, it's a doorway. It's a doorway to something new, a doorway to the unknown, a doorway to a new life, even. But basically, you're also talking about a creative sort of tension when you've got the two. And of course, you want that to be in balance, but sometimes it's not always there. But this could also mean balanced intention or balanced focus. So either representing how you feel or how you're representing how you probably should be feeling. But wands is about casting intention. And so what is his intention here? And with only one card, it's hard to tell. You know, let's draw another one. And then we'll draw the rune. Because I want to know if this is in response to something, and let's see if the cards will tell us that. Let's see if it's in response to something. Because although it could be an active sort of waiting, with the world, he could be getting ready to take a journey, and he's just trying to figure out where that needs to go. Maybe he wants to go explore. I would feel a little better about that if he were dressed as a knight, but, you know. Let's see what another card would say. Well, here we have the 8 of Pentacles, and so here it shows a man engaged in his craft. And he's building his wealth, isn't he? Because you can see it. Well, you can see it. You can see it rising. This backwards stuff I can't do. But you can see the wealth is growing. And so maybe what this guy is doing is he's waiting for the fruits of the labor to manifest. He's standing there. Either he's looking out over what it is he's built, or he's ready for something else, and he's trying to figure out what that is. But here, this would suggest he's well prepared for the future, either in terms of being able to chart his own course. And here, we've got an 8 and a 2, so that's 10, or 1 numerologically, so that's the beginning of something new. So I think he's off on an adventure, and he's waiting to decide what that's going to be. So is it a material journey, or is it a journey of self, of the soul? Let's take a look at the rune and see what it has to say. Ooh, Awas. This is a really cool rune. This is about, it's about moving energy, spiritual energy, up and down. It is the 19th rune of the Elder Futhark, again equaling 10 or 1, or again, new beginnings. But it's the spiritual ascent and descent. So it's or excuse me, it's not the 18th rune, it's the 13th rune. If I could just read. So 13, I don't like to reduce that one. I view that as a Master Witch rune, or Master Witch number, but in any event, we're talking about, it's a paradoxical rune. It's about air and fire. And so you've got air informing and fire manifesting. So with Awas, what you're talking about is, you're talking about spirit informing our manifestation. So I have to wonder, and this just kind of hit me, although he doesn't look like an older individual, perhaps he's gotten enough in his life, he's gone far enough that now he's ready to start thinking instead of an outward focus, maybe he's turning his focus inward. And because of this, and I only say that because of this, either his ability to see the greater good has always been informed, and look out for the greater good has always been informed by spirit, or perhaps he's just getting into a new phase of life where we've spent our time building, and we've built our legacy, and now it's time to go and maybe do something else. I like the idea of the doorway, because it's the doorway into possibility and opportunity. Maybe it's just deciding, you know what, I'm going to pick a place on the globe and I'm going to go. And that could be what this is all about, starting something new. But with the presence of Awas, what we're looking at is spirit informing that process. So we're basically talking about mind, body, spirit in alignment. And we're talking about the state of the entire being. In a sense, it's our... The weird thing is when we talk about polarity, we're usually talking about masculine, feminine, okay? It isn't gender roles, but it's just, it's the receptive and projective presence within, right? Those influences within. And that together creates the human. Well, yes, that's on the horizontal plane, but on the vertical plane, when it's as above, so below, we're talking about spirit. The polarity is spirit versus form. And so we have to find a way to integrate those two things together. Oftentimes, when we're building our legacy, we don't always do that for the sake of a greater good. Sometimes it's in service to self. Sometimes it's in service to others. Here, you could kind of draw that conclusion. This might be service to others. This might be service to self. But if we're talking about completion, then maybe what we're talking about is just a transition from one lifestyle to another. One that is maybe... see, and then of course the implication is that this is service to self, because it may not be. He's holding the globe in his hands. So what is he trying to do? Has he built a smaller legacy and then from there is now going to something greater? So the assumption, that I made there, which may not be right, is that this could be more self-oriented. That maybe, okay, I've done this and now I'm going to go and do something for myself. Well, that's not necessarily living in service to self. That's just, doing something that's different, that maybe you have not lived your passion all your life and now you're ready to do that. So, but the presence of him holding the globe is still saying, you know what, I still have responsibilities, and so maybe what this is building even a greater legacy. We just don't know. But what would that be? you know. And so what we have here with Awaz, or I was, you have spirit informing those decisions, I think. So I think either way you look at it, I don't see this as a, okay, I've done for you, now I'm going to go do for me. It isn't like that. Not with the presence of looking out over his kingdom or the where he lives, the town below, holding the globe in his hand. He's clearly still concerned with issues greater than himself, even though he's willing to consider other options. So that's interesting. So see how that resonates for you today. Perhaps you are wanting to transition into something else. Perhaps you're continuing to work on a legacy that, maybe you're building a career. Maybe you're done with your career and you're going to do something else, retire and do something else. Either way, today is a day, at least in terms of the cards, for completion. Now, if you do reduce 13 to 4, then that's structure and Gaia energy. So again, we're looking at what are we manifesting. So that's interesting. All right, well, that's all I have for today. I want to thank you for watching. I finished one of the monthly divinations that I do. I did the geomancy one yesterday, and I did it a little bit differently. There's a book by Franz Hartmann that deals with geomancy, and I've seen this other places too, but it was cool because the way he did this was a lot easier to understand than the way I've seen it written other places. Henry Cornelius Agrippa was a scholar and a occultist and a physician. He wrote extensively about different occult issues. One of the things he wrote about, of course, was geomancy, and the way he attacked it was a little bit different. When you initially, I use sticks, and you create your first 4 geomantic symbols, and from there the rest of the chart is created from those 4. Well, he puts them in the chart differently. Instead of going right to left, he goes left to right, the way we normally read. He also puts the different, instead of having each one corresponding with astrological house 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all of that, he doesn't do it that way. Most people do, he doesn't. And so I used that method of putting the symbols into the houses the way he sees it, and that it was interesting. It was interesting for this next month. And then today or tomorrow I'll do the tarot reading for the month. But it's up on the blog. I posted it yesterday, so I think it turned out pretty well. So if you want to go over there to imsteppingaside.com, the blog is Stepping Aside. I couldn't get Stepping Aside. They get imsteppingaside.com. They didn't have the other. So anyway, if you want to go over there and look at that, and there's a whole bunch of stuff on the blog. There's a little Amazon storefront. If you're into looking at stuff like that, it's called a Witch in Store. If you click on the icon or the title above, in the different pages, it's right up there. Or there's also a glyph for it down below. You can click on that too. And it just takes you to the little storefront. I just make advertising fees. I don't make actually any real money off of it, but a little bit goes into the kitty to support the blog and to pay for it every year. So it's not costly. So, go over there, look around, see what you want. I even have drones on the thing. So there's some growing stuff. There's some cannabis stuff. There's all kinds of herbs and witchy things. It kind of grew from the things that I'm interested in. So, lots of candles and incense and bulk herbs and all sorts of things over there at a Witch in Store. So check that out if you like on the blog at imsteppingaside.com. And again, thanks so much for stopping by. We'll see you tomorrow, and blessed be.